No one talks about this topic, money laundering prevention, in Spanish called PBC, which stands for Prevención de Blanqueo de Capitales. Now, how this very important topic works in this real estate market. Are you ready? Let's go.
Presente. Here we go. Let's get loud. Let's get loud. Turn the music up. Let's do it. Come on, people. Let's get loud.
So why do we want to talk about this subject? Well, actually, because all of our clients are going to have to pass the PBC prevention and compliance process. And this is a very strict and a very complicated process. So what is the PBC process? PBC, it's not PPC, not to confuse with private purchase contract, it's PBC, which stands for Prevención de Blanqueo de Capitales. It's the process to greenlight you, and there's two different processes. In the case of a resale property where you're buying a property from a private person, the PBC will be with the lawyer of the vendor and the lawyer of the buyer. So your lawyer as a buyer or your lawyer as the vendor will have to do an initial screening to, first of all, understand the source of the funds and the traceability of the funds. But with resale properties, it's quite a lighter version. Now, let's dive deep into what happens when you buy a new property. Now, this is where there's a lot of frustration especially for buyers in the new development market. Developers need to jump through hoops in order to greenlight you. They are scrutinized by the public authorities, and they need to make sure that every single person that buys in their development of 100 apartments has been greenlighted. Now, do developers greenlight you? Generally, they outsource this job to a compliance company. So they are companies mainly based in Madrid that are what we call compliance companies. Developers pay these companies in order to understand, investigate, look into your documents and greenlight you. Once they receive the green light from these companies, they can then proceed to signing the private purchase contract or contracts with the buyers. So what does this process look like? It's actually very simple. It starts with the first document, the most important one. Identification. Who are you as a buyer? You know, John Smith, whatever. The next step is, okay, once they've got your ID and your passport and all the identification documents, it's filling in what we call a KYC. A KYC is, your client that will basically have the main information about yourself. So it will include your details, your address, your home address, your fiscal residency, and most importantly, how you're going to be purchasing the property. So it'll say, from the 100% of the money you're using for the property, where does everything come from? So you can mark here 100% comes from savings, or 70% comes from a mortgage and 30% comes from savings, or this comes from a inheritance that I've had from my uncle. Right? Whatever you tick in that KYC, whatever you declare in that KYC, it doesn't stop there. You're going to have to provide documents that are relevant to what you filled in your KYC. So as a quick example, if you mention that it's savings, they're going to be asking where the savings are from. Are these savings from, for example, a sale of a property? Have you sold a property in the UK, Holland, Belgium, Hong Kong? Right, if you sold a property and that money is the money you're going to use to buy a property in Spain, the compliance departments of the developers will be asking you for absolutely everything in regards to this sale. They'll ask you for the deed, contracts, transactions, and to show the exact traceability of the funds from the buyer to your account and how you're going to be using that money for the purchase. If, on contrast, you say it's 40% is from inheritance, from someone that may have passed in your family, they're also going to ask for documents that prove the origin of the funds. And it's not enough to just show the inheritance documents. You will also have to show that transfers that show the money has come from the deceased person's account into your account. That's how strict they are. And this is where our clients lose a bit of patience, and it's totally normal. Now, the other option is you might be buying with finance. And if you're buying with finance, then you will have to demonstrate and show the origins of the funds you have in place. So if you're going to have a 70% finance and 30% of your own funds, you only have to prove 30% of the funds at the moment. But when the property is finished or close to completion, you're going to have to prove that you have finance in place from a bank and have documents that actually show the developer that this money comes from a Spanish central bank or any bank in the world. So you're going to have to basically pair everything you say on the KYC with documents. Okay, so if you say this, they're going to ask for documents. So a tip we have for our buyers, and actually it's part of our job as well to get through KYC, PBC process, is to make sure that we fill the KYC with information that's relevant, and we'll also guide you through the process. It's a job that we do ourselves with the help of the lawyer. So why are we talking about this? Well, the reason we talk about this is that some clients which are not used to this real estate market, right, actually feel offended by the documents that the developer's compliance department asks from the clients. So I've had clients call me up and say, hey, Kian, I'm not going to send them out my tax return. I'm not going to send them, my, company information or my pay slips. Well, guess what? If you don't, unfortunately, you won't be buying in Spain. And it's very important that you know that it's not the developer that's asking for this. It's a compliance department that just sees you as a number and has got one job, which is greenlighting you. Once compliance greenlights you, the developer will be happy to sign the contract with you. But our clients get frustrated because it seems like the developer is asking for so much information. They're just abiding by the regulations in place. And in fact, in today's market, it is one of the biggest challenges to pass once you pay a reservation. That process of PBC can be quite tedious in some cases, but we're of course here to help you through that process. Once the PBC is approved and you're green lighted, you can move forward, sign contracts, and everything is smooth. We thought we would make this video to, first of all, make you guys understand or help understand why the PBC process is important, why it's in place, and what happens once you pay the reservation and how you get green lighted. We hope this helped, and if you guys have any more questions about this or related topics, get in touch with High Homes.
Presente.